I'm Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spy's live coverage of the United States-Iran War, Day 39. We are now headed into almost our 6th week into this war, and I have a feeling that it is going to get much worse. And in that reason, that's likely why at some point soon you are going to see me broadcasting from the Middle East. I will be broadcasting from most likely Dubai or Abu Dhabi. I lived in Abu Dhabi for 10 years. I still have 3 cars there that have to be shipped back to the United States. I collect classic Land Rover Defenders, and I was waiting. They were supposed to be put in a container. Now it's probably going to take a year before shipping resumes, if this war ends, for me to do that. Okay, well, first, let's introduce our co-host, Jacob Kaarsbo, former Danish intelligence officer, Middle East expert, combat veteran. Hello, Jacob.
Good to be here, Malcolm. Good to see you as always. I'm ready to go.
Well, if I go over to Dubai, I'm going to have to miss one day's broadcasting, or I'll have to do it from the airplane, which would be hilarious, right? And Jacob will be hosting the show that day. Also co-hosting is Waijeeh, the gay lion, broadcasting from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I always expect our Saudi geopolitical analysts and experts to be living, right? Everybody lives in the Midwest. So let me tell you, they got good donuts out there, and Spy House Coffee is one of my favorite places out there. Okay, well, we're gonna let people get up. We're nearing the 1,000 mark. First, gentlemen, let's see those coffee cups, because God knows we're gonna need them today.
Where did I put mine? This is the old DI.
Okay, so Waijeeh, you've got the American Embassy Riyadh cup.
Yeah.
And you're still your dirty Defense Intelligence Agency cup.
Today,
I'm using my U.S. government issue emergency coffee cup that that I got. I like what it says: U.S. Army field ration. Coffee is a fighting beverage. It is property of U.S. government, and I got this cup at the gift shop at the Normandy Utah Beach Memorial Museum. So I don't just get regular coffee cups from down at the the Dollar General. No, my cups got to be from places, right? I got history behind my cups. And I am pounding double espressos down. I have at least 2 doubles in here right now because I have been up. As you can tell from the bags in my eyes, I knew somehow this morning things would go a little crazy based on Donald Trump's tweet that he put out yesterday, which we discussed, where he dropped F-bombs, called people in the Middle East bastards, and said that, I'm hearing my internet is bad. Is my internet okay to you guys? Okay.
Right
Some
now,
people are seeing it.
It's all right.
It goes in and out. I'm on 5G now because we had a lot of bad weather here, and my Wi-Fi gets bad when we have bad weather. I'm rural. You got to bear with me. So Trump said that he would he dropped F-bombs, open the effing strait, right? And then he goes, yeah, salty bastards or something like that. And then he ends it with praise be to Allah, which I thought on the morning of Easter, the memorial of the resurrection of Jesus Christ after execution and torture by Rome and the Jewish authorities, Jesus coming back alive, presenting himself to his apostles, and ascending. And then we're going to have the ascension here in a couple of days, right? Ascending into heaven. See, I'm a good Catholic, so I listened when I heard this story. Apparently, Donald Trump did not. And he thought that Easter morning had nothing to do with religion or Jesus Christ, but for sending, Deadpool double fingers up out to everybody. And I'm sure, ketchup was flying and splattering off the walls. That's a little crazy. So I knew this morning would be equally crazy as challenges were being issued. And we were going to see whether this was just a stock market manipulation scheme or not. So let's go to the casualty count. I have confirmed, by the way, we don't have to put it up. The casualty count that we had from yesterday from the Al Jazeera live tracker is up by 2, because we have confirmed that there were 2 people killed in a ballistic missile attack on Haifa yesterday. As of yesterday morning, there were 4 missing. They have recovered everyone. There are 2 dead with multiples. Dozens wounded yesterday in Israel. We'll get around to that in the significant activities. Israel suffered a big blitz of missiles. Let me tell you, at day 40 for a country where supposedly the entire ballistic missile inventory was, quote unquote, obliterated, they're doing pretty good. The Iranians, there's reports that they are opening their tunnels within hours of them being closed. So we will have to see just exactly what's going on there. I'm sure there will be a ballistic missile study out this week. As we saw, they lowered the number of launches, but dramatically increase the numbers of impacts that are successful, which tells me what I've been saying now for 30 some odd days, 40 days. There is a strategy at play. Never underestimate your opponent. Just because they stop firing doesn't mean you destroyed the missiles. That is them lulling you into believing you destroyed all of their missiles. These attacks are showing us very clearly that strategy was accurate, right? That was very accurate. Okay, woof. Anybody?
And the impact, especially with regard to Israel, is significant. That they can get that impact inside of Israel proper. And as we talked about yesterday, the complete table of ballistic missile launches also shows, except for the first week, the first shock week, that there is a little bit of an increase these last 2 weeks, week on week.
Yeah, and with much more accuracy. Today, by the way, if those of you who celebrate, today is April 6th. You might recall that today was the end of the 10-day deadline in which we were supposed to, Iran was supposed to open the Strait of Hormuz this morning, unconditionally surrender. All sorts of crazy things were put out 10 days ago. You might recall that 10-day schedule was a 2-day schedule, ultimatum, which was extended to 5 days, and then it was extended to 10 days. And now we have, based on his tweet yesterday, an additional day's extension, and tomorrow they are supposed to unconditionally surrender, open up the Strait of Hormuz without any preconditions, and just essentially to collapse their regime and allow the United States to do what they want. With, by the way, the United States coming out and having the right to attack Israel at any time. All right. I'm hearing that I'm blurry. Am I blurry? I may have to switch to Wi-Fi.
A little bit blurry, but those bags under your eyes, you can't see them. That's
good. Good. All right. Well, I cannot control the 5G around here. And like I said, if I go off, that means I'm switching to Wi-Fi while you guys talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Next significant act, we talked about Israel got hit. Israel had over 30 impacts from ballistic missiles using cluster warheads, including a single unitary impact that hit Haifa, downtown Haifa, killed 2 people, collapsed an apartment building. Other places hit were in Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Petah Tikva. We know they've been really hitting Petah Tikva because there are a lot of high-tech buildings there. We saw that a drone company, Aerosol's headquarters, was leveled. It was destroyed there. So we also had impacts in southern Israel. I think it was Neve Kavov. That area got hit also. So for a country that has no missiles and isn't fighting. They're fighting pretty hard. Okay. Oh, do we want to talk about Trump's crazy deadline? While you do that, I'm going to switch to Wi-Fi. But go ahead, talk.
Yeah. On the crazy deadline, these extensions that we've seen over and over again, I will say if you look at it from an Iranian perspective, which we must do to understand the opponent, they probably see it as a sign of weakness. They probably see that they deter because they hold on to the Strait of Hormuz. They know they can put more of an energy squeeze on the West, on the US. So the Iranians are not likely to bow down on this one, and the more Trump puts threats out in cyberspace, the more the Iranians will hold firm. That's at least why I see. What do you say, Waijeeh? You agree?
I definitely agree. So in the Middle East, is and particularly, they strongly believe in the power of word, to the point that there's a very important saying: speak the word so that someone understand. You speak to their mind, speak their mother tongue, you speak to their heart. And when you lose that important weight of your American hegemony, when you give a deadline and you skip it, and you give the second deadline and you skip it, and you give the third deadline and you skip it, what's the point of it?
Mm. Yeah. So that's also why all this talk these days about the new U.S. plan for a ceasefire, or whatever has been going on in Islamabad with the Pakistani interlocutors. The Iranians have rejected it because essentially they're not getting what they want. They see they have the Hormuz Strait as their life insurance policy, even. And they, as we said yesterday, on Saturday, they practiced this rehearsal on Kuwait, where they went for the oil infrastructure and the
Right.
desalination plants. And that's probably something that where there's a signal to the U.S. that they will escalate this further if Trump pushes.
I strongly believe that they're telling the Houthis to hold off because, and here's
Yeah,
why.
I agree.
Because if the United States starts hitting the most vital infrastructure in Iran, that's when we see Iran goes, Houthi, go close the Bab al Mandab.
Yeah.
Cut it off.
Yeah, without any question, they're holding the Houthis in full reserve. And that's a punishment. I think that punishment is designed strictly for when the U.S. really gets boots on the ground. The minute Karg Island is attacked, or the minute that the Strait of Hormuz is attacked, that's it. Global trade ends. Donald Trump, and the message will be Donald Trump has decided to destroy the world's economy, and we're
Yeah.
going to let him do it.
Yeah.
You agree?
Absolutely.
100%, Malcolm. That's for sure.
Gosh
And
almighty. I mean,
and there and go for it.
no. I was just saying, I was just exasperated
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
sound of
but
this. I
but
mean, this
the
is
the
really
Iranians
madness.
basically have read this right. I mean, that's the bad thing. They've just they've got this squeeze, and Trump can't get out of it. And as soon as he tries something, they show a little bit more, and yeah, and that's why he gets stuck, and he keeps digging this hole even deeper than it was the day before.
What I see is
Mhm.
a lot of wishful thinking, whether it's from the Trump administration or whether it's from from Pakistan or from Turkey. We just heard today. Maybe this is part of your important news today, but
Mhm.
Pakistan and Turkey gave a ceasefire plan to both sides. And
Right.
the funny thing to me in all of that ceasefire plan is neither the United States signed off on it or Iran signed up on it, and neither of them were on the table when those plans were coming together. But
Yeah.
there is a lot of effort to bring this war to an end because everyone is hurting. But the people who are responsible for the escalation, which is Netanyahu and Iran, they're not stopping. I don't see them, and Trump is just stuck in the middle. He's like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to keep supporting Israel. To what end?
Yeah. Just a quick update. Our friend Dan Demendenberg, who in Israel, is confirming what we had heard earlier, that 4 people died in that ballistic missile attack in Haifa. And I had seen that yesterday, that they were searching for 4, which meant body recovery. So that does increase the body count. I'm sorry for everyone. And there have been more who have been killed. Okay, next. Let's go on to, I usually start with the U.S. Iran. We know that they're still continuing strikes, U.S., Israel. We know that they're continuing strikes in Iran. Iran appears to have been on fire last night. They hit everybody, everywhere, all together, all at once. I mean, my Iran sheet fills a quarter of this page of attacks that they carried out yesterday, last night, or this morning. United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates, they hit the headquarters of Do Communications. Do is the second largest telephone company in the UAE, right? Uh, the first one is Etisalat. Etisalat is in Abu Dhabi, giant building with a golf ball type thing on the top. If they hit that, that's all their servers, right? That's their server and communications hubs. By hitting Do, you are impacting the poorer people in the region because, the Filipino workers, Pakistani workers who make up, there's millions of them, millions, okay? I think there's almost 4 million support staff in the UAE supporting a population of somewhere around 600,000 Emirati natives, right? So when you take away, hit Do, you're also limiting the ability of mobile phones in the Musandam Peninsula to relay communications from Abu Dhabi. So they're also killing guys' mobile phone usage on ships, right? You're not using ship-to-shore radio. Those guys who are sitting on ships off of Fujairah and not Fujairah, off of Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman, Sharjah, you just knock down their mobiles, right? Which could mean you might be doing stuff you don't want people to communicate over, or you just may want to screw with half the communications in the United Arab Emirates. But they destroyed that building. As a raging fire in Sharjah right now. And Sharjah, that's where I used to keep my Land Rovers at. In Sharjah is, interestingly enough, I'm going to show you a video of the fire that's going on in Sharjah. If I go to Dubai, I won't be able to actually record any of this. Hold on, you'll see it in a minute. But when you see the size of the fire compared to the town, it's
You gotta move the
significant.
camera. The camera is not showing us the video. Here you go.
Oh, it's not. Okay. You'll see it, but it's huge. And I think, and to tell you the truth, I don't think it's Do's headquarters. I think it's Do's data center because it's very low to the ground out there in the Sharjah industrial zone.
Wow.
So they are out to punish the ability of high tech to communicate in that part of the world. This tells you, I have to tell you, these people have thought about these countries deeply and extensively for a long time.
Yes.
Their
You stole the word
intelligence
from my mouth.
staffs were not sitting on their ass.
So the Iranians understand the GCC very well, especially that they have a lot of citizens living there, especially that they have a lot of nationals that have converted to their nationality. They understand that the GCC have very important saying, safety and security. They have invested the last 100 years in those 2 words, safety and security. Come invest in our economy because we have safety and security. Come wear your Rolex in Dubai. No one is going to rob you. Come invest in our economy. We dare you someone to come and hurt you. So all of that is gone.
Yeah, they also displaced Switzerland when Switzerland was forced by U.S. laws and European laws to open up all of their secret bank accounts. Everyone went to the United Arab Emirates and started opening up these accounts called sukuk accounts.
Well, that's right.
Sukuks are Islamic. Okay, in Islam, you cannot turn a profit off of interest if you loan money, right? So
Yeah.
what you do is you would get investments into these groups, right? And to order for them to maintain Islamic banking regulations, that money could be loaned and you could charge a fee, but you could not charge interest. And that fee, of course, is equal to the interest that they would charge, right?
Yeah.
But that money is a black hole. And that's
Yeah.
why the UAE, they don't adhere to international banking laws the way we do, because Islamic banking is not subject to the interior scrutiny because it's not charging interest. Get it? So everyone moved from the Channel Islands, moved from Austria, moved from Switzerland, and moved all their secret dirty money, especially Russian money, to Dubai, right? And by the way, since the Russians are cheap, Sharjah, which is north of Dubai, is where all the cheap Russian tourists go, right? Last time I went through there, in when was October 7th? That was 2023, right? When I
Yeah.
flew over there, someone made a mistake in my booking, and instead of booking me in Dubai, they booked me into a beachfront hotel in Sharjah. And it was me, one black former Ukrainian legionnaire, and 300 Russians, right? Big fat Russians. Is horrible. I immediately moved down to my favorite place, Jumeirah Beach residence.
But how
So
does that go? Because Sharjah is one of the more conservative Emirates, isn't it? They
yeah,
don't have the liberal policies in the hotels.
buddy.
Yeah, I've not
They
been
be
to
paying
Sharjah.
that
Tell me.
money out, baby. Hey,
Ah,
you know what?
yeah.
So long as you're in a hotel and that does not exceed the corners of the hotel, you can do what you want.
Okay.
And oh no, I wasn't booked there. My wife booked me there because my trucks were 2 blocks away. I left trucks up there that were being watched by a local sheikh, and I had to move them because they were tearing down the road. 3 of my classic Land Rovers, which are now waiting to be put into containers. So that being said, the United Arab Emirates is getting it. They also hit 3 additional oil pumping facilities and oil fields, including, once again, the Habshan Fujairah pipeline.
Yep.
They are not finished messing with that place. First, they hit the major pumping stations for that. Now they've hit the oil fields supporting that. By the way, I have the big board here today. Let me show you everything that's going on in the Middle East on the Google Earth. But they hit today and supporting oil field that directly connects to Habshan, and then struck the pumping stations again. The purpose of this was not to leave damage that could be repaired, but to destroy the Habshan Fujairah oil pipeline. Here's the map. This is the Habshan areas down here. This is another area which was hit. They have the pipeline goes up here near Brahmi, right? That's the Brahmi border crossing into Oman, and then goes up the side on the UAE side, then cuts over to Fujairah, which is in this area. That's the bypass for the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians aren't playing this game. They have decided they're just going to destroy it. And you can wait in line for the multipass, buy a multipass, just like everybody else. So there's some good imagery of that. While I'm looking up that, what's the oil prices today? I know it's a
So
little lower than yesterday, but I think
for the
that's because the U.S. market's not open.
for the U.S., it's kind of a little low. It was at 110. It went back up again to 111. But what's interesting is that as soon as the hit in the UAE, naturally the prices in the UAE went up by 3%. It was a little cheaper than the US, I feel like a few days ago. And since then, it's more expensive than the US. So there's absolute direct correlation between oil facility damages and the prices of oil. Um, Especially that this is future prices index, not the today price.
Yep.
Uh,
Okay.
Thank you.
So what's WTI? Did I miss that?
WTI 111.
111. Oh, we've got plenty of room. The market has just opened 27 minutes ago. So believe me, we got plenty of time for this. If you're looking at my screen, I have on there an image from space of the 3 pumping stations which were struck in Asab, Buhansa, and Habshan. The Iranians aren't playing. And let me tell you something.
No.
As a major oil power, they know what's the most vulnerable things to be hit. Asab is a central degassing station. They said it's been burning for over a week, and they decided to hit it again. They ain't playing games. Here are the oil facilities on fire, looking at it from space. These black clouds are the smoke clouds going up into space. This is the Absab oil and gas facility. This is Habshan gas facility. And this is the Abu Hassa integrated oil field. That is all tens of billions of dollars going into space in large space clouds of burning smoke. So the Iranians, they are on their game when it comes to attacking these oil fields. They're not playing games about this. And what I think is that this is them working to get the other Gulf states not to destroy their oil, but to punish them for their oil and to bring them to the brink so that Iran can always hold them at the brink, right? And then they can push them over at any time. By the way, I was just heard from Dan Demendenberg, also in Tel Aviv. He says that 15 minutes before we started, Tel Aviv was hit with 2 cluster bomb attacks. Here's video from this morning. Let's see where they hit. Oh, down here in the lower corner was a hit. In the lower left corner was one hit. This is downtown. This is Ramat Khan. Guess there's more to come. Let's see. Let's start again. Well, Israel's getting it. Bottom line, everybody's getting it. So,
Regarding
by
the
the
oil
way,
field punishments,
this is another attack this morning. And they are getting through, guys. So, we cannot ignore the reality that this in fact may be far more successful in their integrated low pace, higher accuracy attacks than when they had the 500 missiles trying to hit Israel in 2024. I don't think any of those got through, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
This is like 4 or 5 or 2, 3, 4 hitting every day. And we also understand there is an interceptor shortage, and it's real. Right?
Yeah.
They could not withstand a mass attack like 2024 again. That's crazy. Comments?
The market in the US.
I actually thought that that Israel would be able to withstand this much better, but the Iranian ability to destroy radar systems, etc., and to develop their their capabilities in terms of the missiles coming through is much better than I expected. I have to say, I didn't expect the long range barrages from Iran to be that efficient after what we had seen in 2024. This is really something
Okay.
extraordinary. I would say.
I don't know how I forgot, but I had it written off to the side because it occurred about 5 minutes before we came on. The South Paris natural gas field has once again. Whoops, am I still on?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. The South Paris natural gas field in Iran has been hit again. The Israelis struck it this morning. 85% of Iran's gas exports come from there. All of these oil tankers that were hitting it, it's in Asaluya, which is right across from Doha, Qatar. Remember, the North Paris field is here. The South Paris field is there. And I'll bring up that image. Yes, sir.
They're connected to each other.
Efendim.
They are connected to each other. Both of those fields are connected to each other. And the crazy part of that is that if one of them gets really damaged, the other one gets damaged as well. So the Qataris got really upset when the first one got hit by the Israelis. And now that it's getting hit again, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Because we literally explained to you the danger in that. And this is just a ticking bomb waiting to happen.
Yeah. And the Israelis
Just
have also
FYI,
been striking
number
more.
one.
Oh. What are you saying, Malcolm?
Go ahead.
Come on. Okay. The Israelis have also been
Number
striking
one
more
breaking
energy
news on
infrastructure in Iran besides the South Pass. So this is likely to mean
Remember,
retaliation within the next 24 hours, like last time.
Israel's strategy is to turn Iran into a failed state. I'm you know what? I've always been a friend of Israel my whole life, but right now this Netanyahu government is out of control. It's out of control.
Absolutely.
They are trying to collapse Iran as a country, not disable their military. And by doing this, this is them saying, we are going to end their ability to make money for years, right? And punish the Iranian people. By the way, whom we were supposedly trying to help with these attacks. By doing this also, it's the Deadpool double fingers up to Qatar. In other words, as the Netanyahu government, we don't care what happens to you Arab states. We care about what happens to us as Israel, and we're going to collapse that government, that country as a functioning nation. If I were in State Department or I were Defense or wherever, I'd be like, what the hell do you think you're doing? We're the superpower. Stop this shit. But you know what? They're getting away with it because Trump can't figure out. One day he's calling for, open the effing straight and calling people bastards. And the next day the Israelis are like, yeah, let's just destroy 85% of Iran's gas exports, which, by the way, is fueling the Earth's economy. So now Qatar, you know it, and that's why it's breaking news like for the last half hour on Al Jazeera, because Al Jazeera is in Doha, Qatar.
Yeah.
And they know what this means. That means that the Ras Laffan natural gas facility is about to get it. Right?
Here's the other.
Speaking of Ras Laffan.
Yeah.
Go for
Go
it.
on.
Go for it. The crazy part is that the Iranians are, they're willing to lose that. But the Qataris, if they lose that, they lose their whole modernity. Iranians have been hungry for years. They have nothing to lose. The Israelis, by doing this, they're only making the whole situation more complicated for everyone involved. There was something I wanted to say that I forgot. Give me 1 second so I could remember it.
Yeah,
take your time. You can remember all
the
you
important thing to understand is the Iranians, as we've discussed before, can live on a rock. So and they know that they can outlast the Gulf Arabs and Israel in terms of being able to withstand suffering. So it's basically just shooting themselves in the foot from the Israeli perspective.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a bit of a weak signal here, so my image is out for a moment.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right.
I remember.
Yes.
I remember.
What do you remember?
Worst thing, in anti-terrorism studies, the worst thing you can do is create a vacuum of power in a country like Iran. What you
Right.
will create is a more dangerous group than ISIS. You will make it very hard for the rest of the world to fight this group. You will make factions in the rest of Africa, Asia, and the United States. You will activate all the sleeper cells that have been waiting for any action. You have no idea what you are messing with if you create a vacuum of power in Iran.
Absolutely.
And let me just substantiate that, Waijeeh, because that's not only in studies and academia, that's also in real life. And that's why we've also discussed that there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that Israel gets more security by creating weak states and failed states in the Middle East. It gets less security because terrorism increases. And that's basic if you look around for evidence.
Yeah. Okay, let me go through with the rest of the attacks. I'm having a camera problem here. It did not return when I went back, but you can hear me, right?
Turn it off.
Your audio is fine.
Turn it
Okay.
off and back on.
Yeah, I look better this way. I have a, you know what they say, I have a face for radio. Kuwait. Kuwait was hit. Kuwait was hit pretty hard yesterday. They are really punishing Kuwait for supporting U.S. forces. And now I see their strategy playing out very well. They are punishing Kuwait. They hit 3 oil fields yesterday. All right. And the Ministry of, no, not that wasn't Kuwait, that was UAE. They hit 2 oil facilities yesterday, the Al Shuaibah port and Al Shuaik, and the Ministry of Finance. The other day, yesterday, Saturday, they hit the Ministry of Oil and destroyed their headquarters. Now they hit the Ministry of Finance so that their money is now they're going to have to take out paper notebooks, right? And figure out where the money can be distributed there. Don't forget, the purpose of these is to destroy the computers, not just to destroy, the rest of the infrastructure. They also hit Camp Buring, the Al Udeid airfield out in northwestern Kuwait. They have been striking this almost regularly because that is where U.S. forces and the rescue forces apparently staged from to carry out their operations. So they're hitting it with drones and other systems. What else got hit? Oh, they hit Bubiyan Island. We've talked about Bubiyan Island a couple of times. Bubiyan Island is a Kuwaiti island, and U.S. forces have been firing multiple launch rockets from that island at Iran. Iran is carrying out ballistic drone attacks on U.S. forces on that island. I would not be surprised to see them push commando attacks where the Iranians and the U.S. get into it on that island, or the Iranians even bring forces up there to seize it. This is now, but I have to tell you, Iran has been doing this incrementally with a great level of strategy. For everybody who says, oh, the Iranians are crushed, I'm seeing really good strategy play out here. So long as they have, kebabs and tea and, a place to sleep at night and access to a cafe, they can actually carry this war on for some time.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. The Iranians are getting shipments. The Iranians are cutting resources from the rest of the world, but they are getting resources from China. They are getting resources from Iraq. They're getting resources from Russia. they have their own allies, and they are selling stuff. So you might be getting hungry, but they are not getting that hungry. They are getting the most of the hits, but they are looking at it as becoming martyrs and facing an oppressive power. So what they are seeing in themselves is that they are accomplishing what the world is wanting, like what the world have been promising them is bringing them down, and that the United States that has been the idea of conspiracy theories that they've had for years from the Israelis and the Americans have cemented their idea of, yes, there is a conspiracy against us and they are killing us at the moment and we need to fight them. This is how they're thinking. You need to understand their mindset.
Exactly. And Wachi, just one point on them generating revenue. Let's not forget that Scott Bessent and the U.S. have removed the oil sanctions, so they can actually
they're making money hand over fist,
much easier than they could before the war started.
That's what's crazy. If this war starts, let's be honest, if this war stops tomorrow, right, we're going to put the sanctions back on. They're making bank. They are making money by having this war continue, because Donald Trump and they realize that oil is a swimming pool. It is not a straw. Okay? Everyone is paying for that oil. And if it dries up out of one source, it raises the prices for everyone. Hello? So this is a disaster. So we're letting them make beaucoup d'argent, as they say in French, right? They're making big money.
Beaucoup.
All right. That being said, Bahrain, I cannot show it. I'll show it tomorrow. Or the Bapco refinery got hit again. But one of the biggest hits that happened in Bahrain overnight was a probably U.S.-made Patriot missile went stupid. And there is a video of that missile launching, turning around, and smashing into a neighborhood in Bahrain. So it's one of those things. Saudi Arabia announced that they want no businesses or government service personnel to go to the finance district in Riyadh. They believe that Saudi Arabia is about to get the same thing that Kuwait has gotten, that they are going to go after their computer servers and all of their finance ministries and destroy them. Let me see. On other hands, Corfacon, United Arab Emirates, a ship in Corfacon, which is on the eastern side of the Strait of Hormuz, was missed. A cruise missile splashed just short of the ship and exploded. It missed that vessel. Let me see. Oh, and the Iranian Navy off of Qasem Island found a Lucas drone, the American Donald Trump Jr. Eric Trump copy of the Shahed drone, which was built by Iran, fired by Russia to Ukraine. It crashed in Ukraine, and then it crashed in Ukraine. Then the Americans took that version and brought it to this company who built a copy of it and now launched it back towards Iran, where it crashed whole. They got it. I'll show you this video tomorrow. They pull it up out of the ocean. Apparently, the launcher launched it and the booster didn't fly it, and it just fell into the ocean in the tides. Bought it to Iran. So now Iran has an American copy of their drone. Wait for it. With satellite GPS improvements. So now the Iranians can produce their original Shahed drone in a better version using the copy of the copy of the copy that we're firing at them. You can't make this shit up. Help me, Jesus. Okay, last, Erbil and Suleimania, American embassy consulates were attacked. There's a warning out that American embassy staff are subject to assassination by the Iranians in Hesheb-Shabi in Iraq. And for my last point, we're going to talk about the ceasefire because we're early. The United States hit Iran's Sharif University, their version of MIT, and destroyed their engineering school building. So now, by the way, hitting universities is a war crime. You would have to show that they're actually producing materials there, not the students that are making the materials.
And not only is it a war crime, it's also where much of the demonstrations against the regime have come from. And this is not a regime stronghold by any stretch of the imagination. So again, a bullet right into the to the Trump administration's own feet. It's what can you say?
The CIA during the US war in Afghanistan came up with an equation back in 2010, 2009 for how many civilian innocents that we kill, how many terrorists do we produce. But this is not a terrorist, this is a country, and every innocent person you kill, they already have a draft program for people to easily volunteer and fight the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Basij is swelling.
Okay. Hitting ourselves in the foot. Okay, that's now there is one thing I want to talk about because I can't get good confirmation on this. The Iranians are saying that there have been 4 impacts near the Bushehr nuclear power plant in the last 5 days. We knew about one, which was almost 2 weeks ago. This caused Russia, who was operating the power plant, to remove 198 of their staff and evacuate them from Bushehr, which means that the power plant is operating on Iranian staff, which is fine because most of those guys are very, very, very good at what they do. But we need to start figuring out what these impacts are that are around Bushehr, or is that just propaganda? But something caused those Russians to leave. Yeah. So we need to think about that.
The IAEA have released a report, I believe it was earlier today, about those incidents, and the IAEA chairman Rafael Grossi has condemned it, and one of the strikes was within, I believe, 75 meters of the reactor. So
that's crazy.
IAEA have come out strong on this one. So that we can believe. I mean, that's substantiated, and they've looked into all the incidents up until a few days ago.
Okay, nothing. We need to keep our eye on this. This may be a something that we need to do a special program on once we get more intelligence, which is hard to do because now you can't even go to Planet Labs or any of these other groups and look for these impact sites, which a lot of open source intelligence people have been doing. So, it's a little hard to do when now the White House has completely limited everyone's ability. You know who's not using Planet Labs and these other things to look for battle damage? Iran. The only people that this is keeping information from is the general public, the United States. And that's a sign that open source intelligence used to be sort of a joke a few years back. And I mean, when I started the Ukrainian war, I used to make fun of those guys because, I could look on the battlefield and see they were very wrong. Now they're very good. They're very good. I don't make fun of OSINT guys anymore. The guys who prove themselves to be pretty good. Okay, that's it for the combat activities. You guys want to talk about the proposal for the 45-day ceasefire?
I just had one question before that, Malcolm, and that is on Saudi Arabia. Have there been no strikes against Saudi Arabia within those last 24 hours?
Drone attacks on Saudi Arabia, but the most significant thing was them emptying out the financial district.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're shooting down the drone attacks.
Well, they generally been measuring how much they push the Saudis and the Emiratis in particular, because they're on edge and they have explicitly expressed that they are getting ready to join the war. So their Iranians are very particular about what they're heading, when they're heading in Saudi Arabia. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the Saudis have a better ability to hit missiles. They're not doing great with the drones because their land is so big and the missiles fly so low. You may as well just put up like the Ukrainians, a chain of cell phones, and you probably do better at tracking those things, but they're not. They're still relying on radar. I don't know about you, but I've worked with the Saudis. I have trained with the Saudis. Not the sharpest tools in the. I mean, they're good. The guys who are good are good. Guys who are good are good, but a lot of guys do want to sit around in their flip flops and drink tea all day,
that's
right?
what they
Right?
get paid for. They have,
They,
they got there because of the tribe, and they're privileged, and they're
Mhm.
their boss, and they have other people to do the hard work for them. So why why do you expect them to do the hard work?
The way it
Exactly.
is. The way it is. Okay. So the 45-day ceasefire. There was talk this morning, which we believe may in fact be either strategic deception or market manipulation. But the White House has come out and said that they have been in negotiations at the sub-minister level, deputy minister level, with Iran, allegedly through the Omanis, and that things were going great, and that they were talking about a 45-day ceasefire. Well, this morning, unfortunately, I have the tweet um, that the Iranians put out, where the Iranians were like, one, no such thing is happening. Two, you can just shove that 45-day ceasefire up your bum. We are not accepting any ceasefires. And as far as we're concerned, this war can just go on and on and on, which is a good idea because apparently they're making bank, right? They're making serious ass money as long as those sanctions are raised. This is stupid. It's really funny. I really just figured it out that they're making money
Yeah.
off of the sanctions being raised. So it's in Iran's interest for the war to start. Continue. What do you guys think? 45 days.
Yeah, I mean, the Iranians see themselves in a good position because the Strait of Hormuz is their life insurance. And they know they can put the squeeze on, and they know they have more in the backhand if Trump decides to escalate. And then they'll do what we've been talking about, striking the Gulf countries, activating the Houthis, etc., etc. So they don't see these demands from Trump as anything remotely interesting for them. And besides that, it also looks like that the Iranians have been in contact with the Omanis, for a future deal on the Hormuz Strait, on the control of the strait. And that's something we should watch out for because, they are looking to make bank of this, as you were saying, Malcolm. So they don't want to let go of the control of the strait. Today also they've turned back a couple of Qatari LNG tankers. So they feel in a good position. And yeah, as we've discussed many times, we have to see it from their perspective to understand what's going on, and that's what the Israelis and the Trump administration just can't get wrap their head around, apparently.
There's a lot of wishful thinking. I said it from the beginning of the episode. The mm, the world economy is very hurt. Officials have been trying to get involved, like from the Pakistan and from uh, Turkey. But the plan that there is a very famous saying. I think that what they meant to say is "wet it and drink it," which is a very famous Middle Eastern saying. Like take the paper that you shit and just wet it and drink it. The reality of the situation is that as long as there is Israel firing at Iran, as long as the United States does not accept that Iran has control of the Strait of Hormuz, as long as the Western nations do not come to understanding that, okay, Iran, what do you want? We'll give you something that you want. You want the Strait of Hormuz? We'll give you the Strait of Hormuz. If we're not going to start give in to some of the demands that the Iranians want and need, none of this is going to come to an end. If Iranians are not going to say, okay, we're going to give you guys a couple 100 pounds of 60% enriched uranium, the Western countries are not gonna come and say, okay, we'll let this go. Both of them have to come to the table and say, okay, I'll give you something, you give me something. But at this point, none of them are willing to do so. And as long as none of them are willing to do so, I don't see an end to this game.
I agree.
On paper, the United States and Israel should be winning. They have fired and hit more than 10,000 targets. Today, this morning, they took out Majidi Khadimi, which is a member of the echelon of the Iranian military. Did that stop the Iranian military from attacking? No, that did not stop the Iranian military from attacking. They have created as a mosaic system where they allow their military to take control if their leadership head is cut off. And that means that instead of one group that you have to fight off now, you have to fight 5 or 10 groups. Welcome
He's
back.
back in the frame.
Welcome. Sorry, guys. It kicked me out. I think it was glitching on my end, but it brought me back. But okay, so my last point, and we'll go to questions. I think the 45-day thing is a ruse. I now believe that this administration every weekend puts out a panic attack and then a market manipulation. And there is an actual chart that shows that panic attack, then a market manipulation. The panic attack is designed to get people to be frightened to sell. And then the next morning, everyone sells off. Trump's allies buy based on insider information. Then the lie is exposed and it goes back up, and they can sell as it's going back up. They make money off of that. If this were, I always say it this way, for you guys who are like, you just hate Trump. Yeah, I hate Trump. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers about him and his relationship with the Russians and wanting to overthrow the government. Okay, but if this were the president of Burundi or Myanmar or Burkina Faso, I would be giving the exact same assessment. This is intelligence ground truth. It's there. It's quantifiable, and we can see it. We can go to questions, but does anybody take a look at the stock market real quick? Just while you're doing that, I will go to questions and we'll talk about the state of the stock market. I have an interview on Al Arabiya, which is Saudi Arabia, here in about 30 minutes, so we'll be relatively quick. Okay. Justice Warrior says, do you guys expect him to taco? Right? He's fucked. I think he will absolutely taco tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I'm done here, while you guys are talking, I'm going to find out the status of where the USS Boxer Amphibious Readiness Group is. And I think he is waiting. I think that Strait of Hormuz Islands and Karg Island are still on the table. And that if he has to escalate this war, as he likes to say, escalate to de-escalate, he's going to seize something because he views these like stealing his enemy's cufflinks, right? And that they're real. So I think he'll taco-ish based on where the ARG is.
Yeah,
What do
he
you think?
he probably will. But we shall see. It's Trump, it's hard to tell. And maybe these attacks we've seen by the Israelis on the South Pass and the Iranian infrastructure is an attempt to create deterrence in order for Trump not having to escalate. But I think the Iranians are going to retaliate from what they've seen over the last 24 hours. And then we'll see what Trump does.
So, so
Aha. Boxer is
Trump
very close.
has lost the ball. Absolutely lost the ball. It's not even in his court. It's not even in the same country. The ball is not even in the same country anymore. Uh, the people who can make the calls are not even Trump. Because if he could make a call, he would have ended it by now. Because uh, he how can I put this? If Iran wanted to come and sit down on the table, they would have. But what brought it to my attention was Malcolm, the John Wick mindset. The John Wick mindset. If you kill their leadership, if you kill their family members, if you take out their most important things in their life, what else do they have to lose other than revenge? Like, you need to understand a little. They need to take something out of this. They need to come out for their country as victors, not as losers. And if we are going to keep fighting this war as making them look as losers, they're going to keep fighting us until they make us continue look like losers.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of that quote from Captain America, right? I can do this all day. The Iranians could run this war for a year, no question. No question. They could run this war for a year. They may run out of missiles, and they can have U.S. bombers bombing them like we turned this into Operation Southern Watch, where we're there for 10 years bombing every day. But they can do it. They can take it. Their economy, so long as food is coming in, they're plenty. 97% of the country has water, even in this drought. Who become more valuable as this continues on, right? Their own farm industry could be saved by this, right? Because people will be eating their own indigenously grown food, and it will become more valuable to the other countries around Iran to now do a cross-border vehicle trade, which will, you're worried about ballistic missiles. You're not going to starve the country. And trust me, I'm really under the belief that Netanyahu thinks that he's going to break those people. Look, World War II, we do 1,000 bomber raids. We kill 100,000 people a night. And Germans didn't surrender. What makes you think the Iranians are, right? They get to go to mosque 5 times a day. They get to pray. They get to take care of their family, right? It's a distinct misimpression that we have some impact on them. Hey, a little bit of news first. The USS Boxer Amphibious Readiness Group has now passed the Aceh Peninsula and has entered the Andaman Sea and is headed this way towards Sri Lanka, then into the Indian Ocean. It should be in the AOR within 1 week. Right? That means that, and they are hauling ass. I'm going to tell you right now, they are doing what we call flanking. Flank speed means maximum speed, and they aren't slowing down. So the word has been put out, get your ass over there, because they need that amphibious lift. So we shall see where they end up and when. Okay, speaking of which, you guys talked about Donald Trump's madness. There is a tweet about this that I think everybody should hear, and then we'll go back to the questions. This is from Congresswoman, or former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, coming out as the voice of reason and sanity.
Finally.
On Easter morning, this is what President Trump posted. Everyone in his administration that claims to be a Christian needs to fall on their knees and beg forgiveness from God and stop worshiping the president and intervene in Trump's madness. I know all of you and him, and he has gone insane. And all of you are complicit. I'm not defending Iran, but let's be honest about all of this. The strait is closed because the U.S. and Israel started unprovoked war against Iran based on the same nuclear lies they've been telling for decades, that at any moment Iran would have an atomic bomb. Is the rest of it? It's broken off. Okay, guys, are we in Bizarro world? This is upside down. Superman's the bad guy, and all of us are agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
When you're in agreement with MTG, then you know something is gone crazy. But Malcolm, we also talked about this before. Even sometimes there are statements coming out of Beijing, and you agree with the Chinese regime. And that's the same thing. I mean, that's how crazy this is.
The MAGA cult is not, like, as much as they have been fooled by Trump, they're not that stupid. They have their sons and daughters, their fathers and mothers inside the U.S. military, and they're getting their kids, mommy, daddy, why does mom have to go to war? Why does dad have to go to war? And these parents don't have an answer to that question. They don't have a purpose for that reason. They don't understand why their kids are fighting a nation that was not an imminent threat to the United States. So they are coming to some sense. They are coming to some reason, and they have been promised, and they are one of the main things about them, that they have been jumping from politician to politician, wanting someone to keep their word. And they went from Democrats, they went to Bernie Sanders, they went right, they went left, and they found someone that was not a member of the political arena and promised them that he's gonna bring them money, he's gonna invest in he's gonna bring prices down, he's gonna make sure oil flows, he's gonna make sure drill baby drill, like whole bunch of America first, and then all of that collapsed. And they're like, what the hell happened? I'm a farmer. My soybeans that are being sold to China are no longer even sold. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Where's America first?
Yeah. All right. That being said, we have a bunch of questions. Let's see if we can get through a bunch of them before I have to go and do Al Arabiya, which means a shirt and a tie and a coat. No, I don't wear ties anymore. Let me see. Can you talk about the heroic rescue? We went over that extensively yesterday. If you would like, go back into Substack or onto the Black Man Spy podcast and look up day 38. And we discuss it for an hour. All the details of that rescue in there. Full disclosure, as you know, I was a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape school instructor. My job was to teach pilots and aircrew and SEALs and people like that, high risk of capture, what to do once you're coming down on the little parachute behind enemy lines. We discussed that quite a bit. Dan says, if we succeed in removing Netanyahu this October, what does Israel need to do to rehabilitate our image and avoid permanent pariah status? I think you need to go back to Israel the way it was before Netanyahu, before this whole extremist right wing, let's seize the West Bank, let's seize Gaza, let's seize all of the lands out to Kuwait, the Greater Israel plan. And, Israel used to be pretty good at humanitarian support.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they cut off. Is the food to Gaza still cut off? It might be. Humanitarian aid to Gaza has been minimal.
Well, they were striking Gaza just yesterday. Israel has taken absolute advantage of this war because everyone is distracted. They have invaded Lebanon because we talked about that the Lebanon-Israeli war is a separate war than this war.
Right.
They have been sending their soldiers in there. They have occupied a large part of southern Lebanon, annexed actually, and that the world is quiet because they're focused on a different story.
Look, I'm a friend, I'm a friend on both sides, right? I've lived my entire life in the Arab world, in the Muslim world, living with Muslims as a Muslim at times, right? I've seen both sides. Grew up in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood in Israel. Spent a lot of time in Israel. Visited Yad Vashem 3 times. Just was there a couple of years ago during the post-war, the post-October 7th. Both sides need to chill the F out. But one thing that we got to do is you got to get rid of this talk of ethnically cleansing 2.2 million people to create a fucking resort. That's madness. And Trump, that's a war crime to be talking about ethnically cleansing, right? I mean, geez, Louise, we got to stop talking about that. Let's move on. I'm going to take if there's some questions. Okay.
Go for it. Sorry about that.
Somebody wants to know where the Board of Peace comes into it. That's Cheryl.
Oh, Board of Peace. Well, it doesn't come into it in my book. It's some of Trump's corrupt inventions, and it's full of autocrats and bandits and people who want to pay him the fee to get on the so-called board. So it's a sham, really.
I just read that he just seized, without any authorization from Congress, $1.2 billion this last week from the State Department's funds, International Board, the State Department's development funds, and secretly transferred it to a bank in Qatar. This is official. This is the State Department transferred that money to the Board of Peace, and that he also had demanded $10 billion. It's just a slush fund. It's a theft fund, right?
Yeah.
He's stealing this money that was allocated by Congress. These people need to go to prison when this is done. I look forward to the Nuremberg trials when we find out they just stole money. And you know what? We need to go and claw it back. So that's it about the Board of Peace. Let me see, Waijeeh.
Yes, sir.
The guy from Israel says, "Let me know where to send you videos from the missiles. I've been unfortunate to see them flying over me." That's
I'm
not
so sorry.
good, right? Okay. Overall, how much of Iran has been hit? We've been seeing bombing incessantly for 40 days. What's left of the infrastructure? Let me tell y'all something. Okay, intelligence professional here. I want you to think about your city. And let's say that you have 5 major industries in it, right? And a power plant. Just think of only 2 of those industries getting hit. And then that's it. Across the length of your state. We're dropping a lot of bombs, so we're really blowing up. I mean, one military base could take 1,000 bombs, right? Could take hundreds of hits. So the country is ginormous. It's the size of the American Midwest, from Chicago to Fort Worth. It's big. And if you don't tell me, if you're sitting in Dallas, you can hear bombs blowing up in Kansas. You can't, right? It's big. Only in the major cities are you going to continuously hear bombs every once in a while. Today's Easter egg hunt. Oh, somebody says the Easter egg hunt at the White House. That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Waijeeh, are the Saudi and other Gulf countries, this is from Susan, sovereign funds looking to pull out of current contracts or future ones with the U.S.?
Yes, they already have. They have pulled force majeure, and they have pulled out of some investments from the United States. The $1 trillion that Saudi Arabia has promised to invest in the United States is no longer. They have their own projects that have been in Saudi Arabia that have been paused, and they have the more important national security issues to attend for, which is protecting their land from the Iranians, and that's why we saw Zelensky making a quick visit to Qatar, Saudi, and United Arab Emirates, and then yesterday, visited Syria to make sure that they could have security treaties where they help them defend themselves from the Iranian drones.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay, just in furtherance of that's all the questions for this morning. In furtherance to the question about the rescue, I mentioned that when there was a Little Bird helicopter involved, I said, hey, they bought a Little Bird with them, right? One of the two transports had at least one Little Bird, maybe two. This is an exercise which was done by Special Operations Command of the same MH-C-130 pararescue aircraft coming and offloaded two Little Bird helicopters. Their wings are folded. They're on wheels. You just push them out, right? Connect them to the battery. They already got the battery. They have an APU there. And you just press the button and, unfold the propellers, and the propellers start. And they, the Delta Commandos here get onto the skids and they just take off. And this is exactly what it looks like rolling out of the helicopter, out of the transport. And because the aircraft apparently got stuck, I said they hit goats. Turns out they did not survey that road very well. It was an old abandoned mud airstrip, and both transports' nose wheels got stuck in the mud. And here's the kicker. Remember how I said they were talking about going to the nuclear power plant or the nuclear research center and digging in, and that they would send a dozen teams of rangers out to find excavators, bulldozers, and dump trucks? Well, that's what they did yesterday. They went and they sent teams to look for, ready? Tractors on farms to try to pull the C-130s out of the mud. I tell you guys, we are too good at this game, but I knew this capacity existed. I had seen videos of exercises, and this is an actual exercise of them taking their Little Birds and flying to their objective, had a major gun battle, got the guy, brought him back. They had to abandon both of by the way, $100 million per plane. They cannot refurbish old C-130s. They are technically so advanced and so new. They will have to buy two new aircraft at the cost of $300 million. The total cost in just airplanes lost and destroyed was $389 million. That's what that guy, he's going to have it deducted out of his paycheck. And we'll have to see what good that does. Before I go to the last comments, can you guys, a little administration, if you look, there's 2,800 of us. If you see that rondelle at the top that says Black Man Spy with my lovely face, press that. And from the bottom will come up these subscription buttons. Please press those subscription buttons. I am trying to get to 100,000 free subscribers. If you're not following me and you just stumbled on this, we do this briefing every morning so that you do not have to doom scroll the crazy shit that's out there. And a lot of the stuff that's out there is really crazy. We're seeing lots of fake videos, lots of AI video fakes of the pilot with like Delta Force dudes, right? And going out there and even the governor of Texas was fooled by one of these AI fakes. This photo is not an AI fake. It was not from the battle scene. It was from an actual exercise on how they would do this exact thing, rolling airplanes out of the transport and flying to the objective. These helicopters do not
place on tarmac.
Yeah, it didn't take place on tarmac. It took place on grass, baby. They would have done better to try a C-17, I think. I think a C-17 actually has a better ability to handle mud because of the thrust that it could provide. But lessons learned, right? You just lost $100 million worth of aircraft. Jacob, one of your fans has created coffee cups for you from the Kaarsbo brewery. Instead of Carlsberg, I have been to the...
It's funny when I introduce myself and people, they don't recognize the name of Kaarsbo. I say, it's like Carlsberg. And people are, okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There is a alcohol version when you're not drinking coffee. Kaarsbo Special Spy, the original strong lager. Enjoy responsibly. This is the most important point.
Enjoy
Right?
And Malcolm, I'm a modest guy, so I'm trying to make it to 9,000 subscribers. So,
okay. Well, follow us all. Also, last comment of the day. This tweet came out just this morning from crazy Laura Loomer, who's advising Donald Trump, grab her by the straight, alluding to he should just rape, do what he does best, which is sexually assault women or the Strait of Hormuz in this circumstance. Yikes, that's enough for one day, guys.
Let's close that out.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everybody. There is some administration to do. Please, before you go, press that little hearts down there on the right-hand side. That's why we have increased our follower count from, I believe the first day was like 700, and now we're averaging about 2,500, 3,000. We are the number one political Substack in the United States and climbing. Because it goes up and down every once in a while. Yeah, Jake.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm just celebrating here.
All right. Yeah. All right. We're number one. We want to keep it that way. Just keep your eye out for it. I may be going to do this from the Middle East if it looks in the next 2 days like we are going to carry out an amphibious operation in the Gulf. I can be close to it. And believe me, the fireworks are going to go. But I get to stay in, I don't know, 4-star hotel in Dubai or a 1-star hotel in Sharjah, which is really, or Oman on the Musandam Peninsula, where I can sleep in the back of my rental car and watch ships literally get attacked in the Strait of Hormuz.
Get a seat out in the desert instead. That's more safe.
Yeah. Hey, we camped in the desert all the time, baby. I loved camping down there. The problem is we camped down near Habshan and all these oil fields that are being attacked. So you could be literally in Liwa Dunes, right? Batin Liwa, and hear the Shaheed drones come over your head. So we shall see about that. Nothing has been carved in stone. I want to thank everybody for coming on board today. Please come back tomorrow. It is changing dramatically. Get your information from us. And as you know, we do professional intelligence. Banter is precisely how we would do this in a watch station, using our experience, skill, and the knowledge that we have. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, come over to malcolmnance.substack.com. That's where you can watch it live. You are watching a recording, but thank you for watching and gaining information that you need to know to get through this crazy war.
See you guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
If you're watching on English, me there. All right. Bye-bye.